So Richie Hume, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful office you guys got.
Yeah, thank you. How's your day going? How's your week going?
Good, man. I've been playing gigs pretty much every night, which is amazing. Just trying to keep my voice intact and keep my energy up,
Yeah.
like all of us.
Yeah. So what goes into like playing a gig on on a night? Like how much do you prepare? Like timing of all that? Like
So at this point, I'm doing a lot of acoustic gigs, solo and sometimes duo, and sometimes I'll get together with like a trio or full or a small full band. So smaller scale, not huge band stuff. And it's typically I try to keep musicians that I play with on the regular. So not a whole lot of preparation at this point. Um, it's just a lot of learning on the fly and leaning on the songs and structures that work and trying to kind of be spontaneous because when people come to see live music around here, it's at a beach bar or it's at there's a lot of tourist destinations that I end up playing at, or maybe it's a private party, but they're trying to have fun. And I think kind of experiencing and letting them in on the spontaneity of it is definitely a part of facilitating, like a relaxed, fun environment.
mhm.
So that's the name of the game around here.
So are you playing like original songs or covering songs?
I'm mostly covering songs when I play out around here. I do throw in maybe an original a set or so, maybe two originals a set sometimes if I'm feeling froggy. Obviously, as somebody who's been playing for a long time, the goal has always been to put out your own music and have people hopefully listen to it and check it out. But, studio time's expensive and you got to make a living. So you definitely got to go out and play some covers for me. Got to play some covers so that you can do the things that you want to do,
The studio time and everything.
studio time and putting out original music. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you grow up in this area?
I kind of moved around quite a bit. So I grew
Okay.
up predominantly in the Northeast, Carolina, Connecticut, Pennsylvania,
Okay,
and
cool.
came down here about 6 years ago now,
Okay.
5.5 years ago. And I've just been loving it, man. It's great, great area for music.
Yeah. There's a lot of like you said, like the beach bars and some of the cities like the smaller like Dunedin and stuff, they lean into like the live music and stuff.
It's a working scene down here.
Yeah.
So with that, the most of the musicians that do have original music kind of do what I do, where they play the covers so that they can do other things. And because it's a working scene, you got all these musicians around here that have put in 10,000 hours easy doing what they do. So when you get to see them really do what they do, it's amazing how talented some of them are.
Mhm.
Just because of the sheer amount of time at 3 to 4 hours a night, 250 times a year, the sheer amount of time that the musicians around here put in is crazy. And it definitely, I think, shows when you go to see some of them at a showcase or something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. So take us back to the beginning. Like how did you get into music? What was that like for you?
I've been obsessed with music since I can remember.
Yeah.
Um, I remember being 3 years old and there was like a mic at maybe 4 years old. When I first had memories, there was like a mic at the pre-K, and I remember singing Queen into the mic, like singing "We Will Rock You," and I was really infatuated by this Queen Greatest Hits CD that my mom and dad had, and then I remember going to the mall a couple years later, like 6 years old, and seeing like a Kiss poster and just being like taken by it, like these weird, crazy looking guys and like this
Mhm.
makeup with these
Mhm.
fireworks and I heard it and it's just this powerful rock and roll, it kind of just overtook me. And since then I've just been it's like all I've was able to think about as a kid. All the other kids were playing sports, and I would try, but I was never very good, and I just, and maybe kids were good in school, and it's like all I could think about was music all the time,
Music. Yeah.
all the time.
So did you go to school for it, or like how did you learn how to play?
So I just grabbed the guitar and started playing, and had some lessons for sure on guitar, and
Mhm.
I've always been naturally able to carry a tune vocally, but I honed that in with voice lessons through like high school and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
definitely nerded out through middle school and high school, and
Mhm.
was in bands and battle of the bands and all that stuff. And I've just it's something, I've tried to do other things, but I've always come back to playing
The music.
music.
What other so you started with the guitar. What other instruments did you play, or is it just guitar?
I play guitar, vocals. Most guitar players can at least be proficient on a bass, and then
Okay.
I can play keys just enough to kind of use it as a songwriting tool. But I would not consider myself a piano player by any
Yeah, yeah,
means. So
yeah.
guitar is definitely that's my instrument for sure, and
Mhm.
uh, probably a singer first, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I was talking to my wife the other day, and like she did color guard in high school and stuff, and so I had a lot of friends in band and everything. And we were talking about like how it's um like she has a lot of those kids that she knew in high school in band and and it's like band doesn't have like in high school it's kind of like, oh, you're in band, like it's not like the cool thing to do or whatever. I think for most high schools, but like people like yourself, like like the careers that you can have after that and stuff, it's so fascinating and really really cool experiences that you get to have from your talents.
Yeah, it's always, I think in most high schools, sports is the in vogue
Right.
thing to
Right.
do. Choir and band are not something that the cool kids, I guess,
Yeah.
normally get involved in. But if you love it, you just do it and you stick with it. And I guess if it ever becomes cool, it's like maybe a bonus or a byproduct, but you just gotta love music, man, and that's why you do it. And
It's weird that it's not cool in high school though, right? Because like as adults or anybody that's doing it professionally, like you're in love with like that band or that person or whatever, right? But for some reason in high school, it's just not the cool thing
well,
to do.
it's funny. It goes in and out of being cool, right? And it depends on what you're doing. Because I
Yeah.
remember it was like really cool when I was in college and I was able to play in the bars and stuff. But
Yeah.
then after college, my buddies were getting jobs and I was like on
Yeah.
the road in a van with a bunch of dudes,
Yeah.
200 shows a year, and it was like not cool again,
Yeah.
you know? But regardless of that, you just uh, if it's cool, the morning you wake up, you smile about it and
Mhm.
and you're grateful. But even when it's not cool, it's just what I do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's just like what I do.
So what does music mean to you?
I mean, eh, I mean, it's my life, and it's the number one way that I'd say I get emotionally moved is through music, and through creating music and the shared energy that I'm able to have with people when I play. Um, yeah, man, it's literally an energetic force coming out of speakers, and
Mhm.
wavelengths, sound waves coming through, and they just I think they affect our emotions in a way that's like divine. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but
Mhm.
I think it's proof that God exists. Is music is one of those things.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I like for music is I'm always like fascinated by people who are super talented and being able to do things like what you do. It's like one of those things like I wish I wish I could sing or I wish I could play guitar and that sort of stuff. It's I think it's really really cool like the like what musicians are able to create, you know.
I mean, really creating anything is awesome though, you
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
I've been reading Rick Rubin's book, and it's kind of like a coffee table read. It's
Okay.
anecdotal. It's sort of like a page at a time.
Yeah.
I forget the title of the book, to be honest. I just call it Rick Rubin's book. But I don't know if you know who Rick Rubin is. He's like a legendary producer,
Okay.
and he's got these very unconventional methods. Um, Sort of like the kind of the guy who might have a musician be exhausted coming into the studio, for example, to try and get a more vulnerable
Oh,
take out of them, or
okay.
just unconventional sort of ideas. And he will profess himself that he doesn't have any musical knowledge whatsoever. He just knows human beings.
Mm,
And in the book, he talks about creativity and how it applies to everything, you know, and the principles that he applies in the studio and with his artists are really universal and can be applied by a real estate agent or by
mhm,
an architect or by a salesman. There's creativity in everything that we do.
mhm,
You know, creativity is coming up with an idea and making it happen. And
mhm.
I think that not enough people think of it that way, and they think about it as just drawing or music or acting, or but there's art in everything, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
That is true. So um, what goes into creating a song? How long does that process take? And like walk me through that for anybody that hasn't experienced that before.
Oh man, it's so different for everybody.
Yeah.
I've had songs that I've written in a day, and I've had songs that I've written in over the course of 10 years. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
just an idea or a riff that you had in the bank forever, and you finally decided to act on it and built it piecemeal at a time. But if you want to know just like kind of the standard process of recording a song, you would, I'd say the latest tune I did, for example, I wrote it and I demoed a guitar track at home and put a vocal track over it. And then I brought it into the studio. I found a producer I'm working with, Peter Klett, who is known for his work in Candlebox. Um, and we pulled together our favorite musicians in the area, and you track drums first, and then put the guitars over it, and then put the bass over it, and then write the vocal melodies, refine the vocals, and then send it off to mix. You know, and
Mhm,
mixing is when they refine the sounds of all the tracks and make it really cohesive and really cleaned and polished, and um, maybe they beef it up a little bit to make the song sound really good.
mhm,
And that's sort of the standard process, I'd say.
mhm. How long does that is I mean, I'm sure the time takes, it's just different for each one, right?
Yeah, we've been chipping away at it, and this last song, it's almost done, has been I think we started on it about 3.5 weeks ago,
Okay.
and there's been a lot of hours put into it, and yeah, you know, these days, I don't think we're gonna, release a record. I think we'll go with singles, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's for example, this latest song we've been working on has been like a 3.5 week, probably all in. I'd say it's gonna be like 65, 70 hours
Mhm. For one song.
for one song.
What for you, like, what starts a song? Is it a tune, a melody, or is it the lyrics?
Um, it changes and I go through phases.
Oh, okay.
I would say most recently it's a guitar riff
Okay.
and then a concept. So it's like the meeting of a guitar riff and a concept. So I'll be driving and I'll hear a phrase or think of a phrase, or I'll be talking to a friend on the phone and something will hit me, and I log mentally that concept that I really love or that I gravitate toward. And then I sort of bank these things up. Maybe I make a voice memo, maybe I make a little melody recording or a little note.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll be in my studio just playing guitar or maybe riffing at sound check or just noodling on the couch on my guitar, and I'll come up with a riff. And then if that vibe of the riff matches one of the ideas I got, then it's just off to the races after that, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh, what are challenges in the music business? Like,
Oh man, how much time you got?
uh,
um, I would say one of the biggest challenges is keeping up with the changes in the industry, usually brought on by technology. And man, the new music industry, there are a lot of upsides to it, but there are a lot of downsides in that it's a lot less simple, I think, than it used to be. Uh, it's not that it used to be easier per se, but I think the paths you could take, I think, used to be a lot more linear than they are
mm,
now.
mm,
And I think with the ever changing technology, there's just a million different ways you can go in today's music industry, and it's hard to really refine a clear path or vision in today's industry, if that makes sense.
yeah. So how has like technology changed music? Like, is there like,
As a general term,
yeah,
or as a general theme, I should say, technology has taken music from more and more from the physical to the digital, you know?
mm,
So there was a time when bands, and this is before my time, unfortunately. I would have loved to have lived during this time, but there was a
mm-hmm,
time when bands sold records,
mm-hmm,
vinyl records, CDs, cassettes, physical products,
mm-hmm,
units. And then Napster came along
mm-hmm,
and put music on the internet. And, for a while there, people were downloading it illegally, and the music industry freaked out. And then it went to iTunes, which was a pretty solid format for musicians to thrive. And then it went to streaming, and streaming, I mean, it may as well be like Napster's back, it's
yeah,
like point oh 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 oh
but
oh
just
oh
easier to get.
1 cent per stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
to make any money, you just have to have millions and millions and millions of streams.
millions and millions of
Yeah.
streams. And basically, a song is like an advertisement to get people to come out and see you live or buy your merch.
Is that how they make? I mean, I guess if you're not like one of the top musicians, like is that how you're making money? Is like live performances?
Live performances, syncing is a big deal now, which is like getting music, movies, and television to pick up your song. That's like
Okay.
kind of the new, I want to say it's like the new thing that a lot of musicians are striving for now, is to get a sync deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Selling merch is a big one. So if you're like a band out on the road, and you're like a conventional touring band, selling merch. But yeah, I'd say just the biggest change has been just taking music from the physical to the digital. And now AI is coming along, and
Yeah.
that's going to be a whole new can of
How do you?
worms.
All right. So I want to dive into that for a second, but before that, um, is it is music more competitive now because of technology and streaming and that sort of stuff than what it used to be?
So this is going to be another bit of upsides and downsides, right? Yes, it's much more competitive. There's like, I'm not going to pretend I know the number, but it's a
Yeah.
staggering amount of songs that go to stream every single day. I think it's like multiple hundreds of thousands of songs hit streaming platforms every day. New
A new
songs.
song. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So in that, it's way more competitive, and it's very, very, very hard to make a living off of original music. But it also gives everybody a chance to put music out there, have it be heard, and maybe, make some money from it, and it's not all about money, but
Yeah.
or get some recognition for it, or it gives somebody the chance to make something amazing in their home studio and put it out and have it be
Mm-hmm.
heard. So
Mm-hmm.
so there's upsides to it, in that you don't need to anymore get this elusive record deal and go
Yeah.
into a major studio with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of overhead that could only be funded by a entity larger than you and your band. You can make this amazing stuff in your, all it takes is an amazing song, and you can make it in your room
Yeah.
and put it out and have and advertise it and push it through social media and hopefully get it to hit an algorithm, and people will hear it.
Yeah.
So that's an upside.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. But also that creates more competition, right? There's more opportunity.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. So, all right. So AI. So how has AI changed? And AI is, I guess, mainstream, like relatively new. Like there's been, different avenues for AI for quite some time. But how has AI changed, or how do you see it changing music even into the future?
Well, it's hard to answer that question. It's
Yeah, of
so
course.
new. I'd say it's this thing right now that is scaring the heck out of musicians. And most musicians are probably afraid of the changes it's going to bring, but some are like, it could also bring amazing changes. But I'd say places I could see it going, the cliff notes would be like, generic music is going to be in huge trouble. So like kind of the cookie cutter Nashville songs you hear, like a lot of the popular country stuff, I'd say, and a lot of the just pop music, and sort of like if you're in CVS, those songs you hear that are kind of stock,
Mm-hmm.
which I love many of those songs. They're going to be in trouble because AI is going to be able to write those songs soon,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so songwriters, I think, are going to be in trouble. And then from there, I mean, I heard an Oasis song the other day with Liam Gallagher's voice on it that Oasis didn't write. They were called AISIS.
Oh, really? And it sounded,
And it sounded like the one of the most killer Oasis songs I've ever heard.
wow. Yeah.
So now you're getting this strange territory of like people looking into licensing out their voices so that uh, regular folk like me and my friends can take their voice and use it through AI
Mm.
to make a song. So like Grimes is licensing out her voice so that if you're at home and you make a techno beat, you can put her voice onto it.
That is so crazy.
So that's like the next wave that I think a lot of us are intrigued and afraid by.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because I think, again, like it makes it's more competitive, right? Because you don't necessarily have to have like maybe 10,000 plus hours into your craft or whatever to kind of create something.
but yes, and there's a big plus, in my opinion, a plus side here, right? With
Mm-hmm.
another on the pros and cons theme.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people will always crave human connection,
Yeah.
and music is one of the integral ways to establish human connection through sound. And AI artists, AI voices can't connect with their fans. They are not real people.
Can't perform live.
They can't perform live. Well, a hologram of Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury could come
Yeah.
out, but people will crave human connection through music. And I think it's going to open the door for maybe like a really cool punk rock counterculture where there's an embracing of bands that are doing it for real, live, without the assistance of AI. And you're already seeing it with people wanting to see bands who aren't using BS backing tracks and stuff like that. I think that is going to be something that's going to happen. And, it makes my job just as a barroom entertainer, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a rock star. I play mostly covers and stuff like that, but it's going to make my job really important because ultimately I'm able at my gigs to facilitate human connection,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's really important to me. And I think it's going to make the roles of myself and my colleagues in this area more important than ever. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm optimistic about.
I think you nailed it right there. I think that's a really good point. I think any business that is, sort of like threatened by AI or technology for whatever reason, it goes back to the human connection in that interaction, right? There's always going to be people, like a small percentage of people that are they're gonna be okay without that, or okay using AI or some form of technology, and not having that human interaction. But for I think majority of the population, majority of people, that relationship that we have with one another is going to be extremely important, and more important than anything else that comes along.
And man, I think that that's like a broad theme right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that people are recognizing how glued we all are to our phones, and I'm guilty, man. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like the worst sometimes. But I know that I feel worse when I'm on it all the time.
Yeah.
I know that I feel much better when I'm outside and playing music with my friends, and I know that, I put on, in a musical sense, I know that when I put on a Led Zeppelin record and I hear John Bonham's drums and Jimmy Page's guitar and Robert Plant ripping vocals, like, I know that that feels way cooler to me than some synthetic
Mm-hmm.
garbage that's coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that rock and roll is and music and great music of all genres, it's just, it's a way for us all to connect and feel something real. And I think that in a world where things are becoming more and more synthetic and manufactured by technology, um, I think that that's going to rise up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Um where do you play? Where can people find you? Listen to your
So
music?
I play all over the Clearwater and Tampa Bay area, and hopefully, trying to expand in the next few years, putting a plan together. My music is on Spotify, Hume, Hume. If you type that in, and you see a guy with brown hair, medium size, that's me. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, social media. If you type in Hume Music Official, you'll find me everywhere. And I
Okay.
post my gigs and post my new songs and all that stuff. So Hume, Hume, Music Official.
Yeah, love that. And then one last question for you. When you're not playing music, or you're not playing a gig, let's say, um, what are you doing? What do you like to do for fun?
I me
Not that
and
music isn't fun, but
me and my fiance, who was on this podcast,
yes.
Jamie Langlois, soon to be Jamie Hume. Um, we are fitness gym rats. So I'm in the gym all the
Yeah.
time, and I love it. Keeps me sane. We're walking our beautiful dog Blue all the time, and yeah, man, just enjoying what Florida has to offer. We live in paradise, so
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that, and that's what I like to. That's what I like to do: absorb sunshine and hit the gym.
Yeah. I love that. Richie, thanks for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thanks so much for having me, man. That was a lot of fun.